Play that note again, Professor Ryan Cole said, his voice slicing through the quiet studio like a blade. 14-year-old Malik Thompson, the only black student in the room, froze mid-key. The other students shifted, pretending not to stare. Cole smirked. You see, gentlemen, there's a difference between noise and music. Boys from your streets bang on trash cans. They don't play Steinways. The laughter that followed was short, nervous, ugly. Malik's hands trembled, but his eyes stayed locked on the professor. Sir, he said softly, if you'll let me, I can show you what real music sounds like. Cole's smile faded. Is that a challenge? No, sir. It's a promise. The room went silent, every heartbeat echoing off polished wood and marble. Malik sat at the grand piano, his reflection trembling in the glossy black lid. He inhaled once, steady and slow. If this already made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe right now, because stories like this are still happening and the world needs to hear them. He lifted his fingers, feeling the weight of every stare, every doubt. The first note hovered in the air, then fell like truth. The night before that class, Malik's mother stayed up late, wiping fingerprints off his old second-hand keyboard. She smiled through tired eyes, the kind worn by double shifts and endless prayers. Baby, she whispered, when they hear you play, they'll see what I already know. You were born for those keys. Morning sunlight spilled through their small apartment as Malik slipped on his pressed white shirt, slightly too big at the sleeves. He tied his shoes, kissed his mother's cheek, and walked out carrying a worn leather music folder, its edges frayed from years of practice. Outside the academy, shiny black cars lined the curb. Students in tailored coats stepped out with confidence and privilege. Their laughter echoed against the marble pillars. Malik clutched his backpack tighter, his sneakers squeaking against the spotless floor. He passed portraits of legendary composers, all white faces, staring down like judges of history. For a moment, doubt crept in. Maybe I don't belong here. But he remembered Ms. Chen's words, his mentor from the neighborhood. Talent speaks louder than the names on doors. So he straightened his back, walked into Studio Room 3, and placed his sheet music on the desk. The chatter around him faded as the door creaked open. Professor Cole had arrived. Professor Cole strutted into the room like he owned the sound of music itself. His gray suit gleamed, his tone sharp enough to cut glass. Today, he said, tapping the piano lid, we'll test who among you understands true precision. He began to play for Elise, the familiar melody floating across the room. But Malik frowned. Something was off. Wrong notes, broken rhythm. The tune had been sabotaged. Cole spun around. Well, anyone notice what I did? Silence. Students stared at the floor. Finally, Malik raised his hand. Sir, the B flat should have been a B natural, and the E in bar 6 was flat. A hush fell. The professor's smile stiffened. How interesting. Our street musician thinks he's smarter than Juilliard. A few students chuckled nervously. Malik's voice stayed calm. No, sir. I just listened carefully. Cole's tone turned venomous. Careful? You mean lucky. You're here because the school needed diversity, not because you earned it. The words hit like a hammer. Malik's throat tightened, but he didn't flinch. Then give me a chance to prove it. Cole's eyes gleamed. Fine. Let's see what happens when talent meets reality. Play something, anything. Show us what the streets taught you. Malik stood, his heart steady now. You'll hear soon enough. If this happened right in front of you, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I read every one. And if you want justice as much as I do, hit subscribe. Professor Cole smirked and pulled out a thick folder of sheet music. Since you're so confident, Malik, let's see you sight read something worthy of this academy. He dropped a heavy score on the stand. L'Isla Campanella, a piece that makes grown pianists sweat. The class gasped. Malik glanced at the page, the tiny black notes dancing like a storm. Cole folded his arms. You have 3 minutes. Malik closed his eyes, blocking out the whispers. He didn't see the marble floors or the mocking faces, just the rhythm patterns forming inside his head. Every interval, every leap, every breath. When he finally placed his fingers on the keys, time seemed to stop. The first few notes rang clear, light, effortless. Then came the run, fast, clean, alive. Students leaned forward, eyes wide. Cole's smirk vanished. Malik's hands blurred across the piano. A storm made of melody and fire. By the time the final note faded, the room stood frozen. For the first time, no one spoke. Even the air seemed afraid to break the silence. Cole swallowed hard. His test had backfired. The silence hung heavy until Professor Cole finally spoke. "Not bad," he muttered, voice dripping with resentment. "Adequate." Students exchanged stunned looks. One boy whispered, "Adequate?" That was flawless. Sophie, a quiet violinist near the back, stood up. "Sir, he just played one of the hardest pieces in the world. You can't call that adequate." Cole's face flushed. "Sit down, Miss Harper, unless you'd like to join him in mediocrity." Sophie didn't move. "You're wrong, sir. What you're doing isn't teaching, it's cruelty." The professor's voice cracked like thunder. "Enough. You think this is about feelings? Music requires refinement, something he doesn't have." Malik looked up. "Because I'm not from your world?" Cole stepped closer, jaw tight. "Because music like this was never meant for people like you." The room froze. No one breathed. Sophie whispered, "Did he just say that?" Malik stood slowly, calm but burning inside. With respect, "Sir, you're not afraid I'm wrong. You're afraid I'm right." Gasps filled the room. Cole's authority wavered. Anger replaced logic. "You're suspended," he snapped. "Leave my class now." Malik picked up his folder, straightened his shoulders, and walked out. The door shut behind him with a soft click that sounded louder than any note ever played. Word spread to the academy before Malik even reached the gates. By lunch, everyone was whispering. The racist professor, the boy who played Liszt, the silence that followed. Sophie refused to stay quiet. She met the academy's director, Dr. Winters, and showed her the class's hidden audio recording system, one that caught every cruel word. That evening, the board listened in disbelief as Professor Cole's voice echoed to the speakers. "Music like this was never meant for people like you." The evidence was undeniable. Dr. Winters slammed her pen down. "Effective immediately. You're on probation, Professor Cole. Bias training, no teaching authority until review." Malik was reinstated the same day. When Dr. Winters called his mother, her voice broke with pride. "Baby, I told you, talent can't be silenced." A week later, the academy hosted its student concert. The lights dimmed, and Malik walked on stage wearing the same thrift store shirt. He sat at the grand piano, closed his eyes, and began to play. This time, there was no test, no tension, just truth. Every note spoke for those who've been told they don't belong. When he finished, the hall erupted in applause. And at the back, Professor Cole sat silent, staring at the floor. The final spotlight glowed softly over Malik as he played his closing piece, the same melody he had practiced on a broken keyboard back home. Each note carried something deeper than music. It carried memory, pain, and pride. In that quiet auditorium, the sound felt like a heartbeat the world had tried to silence but couldn't. Students who once looked down on him now stood, clapping until their palms hurt. Even Professor Cole, red-eyed, humbled, rose slowly to his feet, unable to look away. The boy he mocked had become the sound he could never control. Malik looked out over the crowd, his voice steady as the last chord faded. Music doesn't belong to bloodlines or last names. It belongs to whoever feels it the deepest. If you believe this should never happen again, share this now. And to my USA, UK, and Canadian viewers, your voice is power. Use it. He bowed once quietly and walked off stage. Outside, night rain tapped against the glass, rhythmic, like applause in the heavens. And somewhere, his mother smiled, knowing her son didn't just play the piano. He rewrote the sound of respect.